Back at it again, Kendra. It's just you and I talking shit to each other, enjoying the time that we have. And guess what? We have a good guest for tonight. We have Robbie Fox, Barstool, a nerd, they say, coming into a fan, coming into a Barstool representative. He has his own podcast. Very exciting. It's real cool to hear his story, which we'll get him on here and break it down. But I am excited about this one thing, Kendra. This coming week, you have Lena Paul with you. You have Prince with you. You're going to have a bunch of different adult stars on your OnlyFans. You get to hang out with the ones we all love. Is coming this week. How excited are you on that?
I'm excited. I don't want to say I keep forgetting about it. I mean, I know I have it coming up, but I've been really focusing on the Michaela Mayer fight more so than my OnlyFans. And I love filming, but it's like the fight, like her fight, I'm a little anxious for her just because, I want nothing but the best. So I'm amped up for that. And then I can kind of decompress for an evening or part of an evening. And then, I'm going hard in the paint. Big time, like back to back to back to back. So
that's insane. You're going to be at the fight there. You're going to be cage side or actually ringside. What am I saying? Cage, like it's a different sport. Yeah. You're going to be there. She's going to make history. We just saw Clarissa Shields dominate last night and actually show that she's a dog. She's ready. She's in this, and it was good to see her at PFL.
Her power. She is so quick and so powerful. Every time she punched, you could see her opponent was in pain. Like it hurt. The only mistake, that she made, but she's only been training for 5 or 6 months was, instead of trying to do the ground and pound, just get back up. But her opponent, brown belt in jiu-jitsu, had more experience. She wanted her on the ground, but she maintained, she didn't take a lot of damage. She's strong. A lot of potential for her, and she's from Flint, Michigan. So I was screaming. A friend of mine works for PFL, Ian Parker, I believe, and I said, and I almost lost my voice because I was like, what is he waiting for? I felt like he waited too long to make the call, and it was pissing me off. And I was like, is he just, giving her opponent the benefit of the doubt because she's more experienced? But I think it was a late call. It pissed me off. I'm like, what's he waiting for? I was screaming at the top of the lungs. What the fuck? And then I texted Ian. I was like, worst ref ever. And I was just pissed, heat of the moment, because if she would have lost, or if it went to a decision and she lost, I was going to lose it. So
go. Oh no, it's insane. It would have been definitely would have stirred the pot, but it just shows that, like, anybody can do mixed martial arts if you put your time into it and you put the dedication. Clarissa Shields, she is a powerful boxer. She's an Olympic gold medalist. She's traveled. She's done a whole bunch of stuff. She's put her time in, and you can tell that she went into PFL with 100% just want to win, 100%, focus on MMA. She dove into it. She did great. Yeah. Now, that's a boxer coming to the MMA world. And it's crazy that we have a female boxer coming into the MMA world. And we're all talking about Jake Paul and Logan Paul talking about boxing all the MMA fighters, but they don't want to step into it.
No.
We've had CM Punk. We've had Brock Lesnar come over from WWE. And these are people that are trying to come in there, and they're not going to be as successful. Brock Lesnar, yes. Heavyweight, different. Yeah. Brock is a huge guy. But Clarissa Shields has shown that it's possible, and she's shown a lot of promise. She's shown that she has the heart, and that's the biggest thing in mixed martial arts.
Yes.
Which leads us in there. Next thing we're going to have Robbie Fox on, everybody. He's a Barstool guy. He has My Mom's Baby podcast. He's 132 episodes. This guy has a lot of intriguing information. He loves everything. I'm talking about movies, music, fighting. He's always posting about fighting. I like to get some of his takes on some of these recent fighters that are trying not to fight because of money, because they're seeing Jake Paul. I'm also want to see his music taste, because I've been seeing some of his podcasts are pretty hilarious. Do you have a top musician that you like, Kendra?
It depends on my mood. Like when I'm at the gym and I'm training, I don't know. I tend to go with more like hip hop. It takes me to my alter ego. Like, I don't know. Like, I like Travis Scott. I like Drake. I don't know. Like, who was I listening to? Amigos. Like, so I kind of go to that place. But then there's times where I'm into some classic rock, AC/DC, like rocky shit. Like, so all kinds of stuff. So yeah, I fluctuate. What about you?
It all depends. I have Miley Cyrus. Everybody knows I love her. I love her music.
Yeah.
I think it's amazing. It's ready to rock. And then I also enjoy listening to Drake. I enjoy Migos. I enjoy Frank Sinatra, Frankie Valli. It just depends on where I'm at. And my brother does his own his own band. It's a hardcore punk band called Spine. It's Kansas City, Missouri, and Chicago, Illinois. It's a mixture of two cities, two different people. My brother's a vocalist. He has a drummer, guitarist, bass, and they all just jam out, started out in the basement and rocked out. I'll listen to that as well. It just depends on what my mood is, and I feel like some days my mood swings to listening to Post Malone and that beautiful, like, nice soothing voice and just like relaxing, like I'm driving down the Las Vegas Boulevard. Or, sometimes I just want to like party it up and listen to Party in the USA by Miley Cyrus.
Yes, it's always like a good vacation, or like we always kind of start a little when we're getting away. That'll be like one of our go-tos. So with that being said, I want to welcome Robbie Fox to the show. How are you, Robbie?
I'm good. How are you guys? Thanks for having me on the show.
Oh, we're pumped, man. We're pumped, excited. We have a lot of random questions to ask you. One of the biggest ones is, how was your day, dude?
My day was pretty good. My day was actually like a bit strange because I edit my own podcast, which came out today on Friday as we're recording this. So I pulled an all-nighter last night, not like on purpose. It was a long night of editing, and I went to sleep around 9 a.m. and I woke up at like 3 p.m. So it's been a weird day. My day kind of just started, I feel like.
Yeah. It just started. And look, what better place to have it on with an MMA fighter and an adult film star? You're right between us. You're sandwiched between us.
I know, yeah. It's truly like, it sort of feels like, did I wake up? Am I still dreaming? Like, what's going on right now? This feels like it's a strange combination, but I'm here for it.
That's right. Awesome, Robbie. So tell us, like, okay, so you said like you pulled an all-nighter, and obviously it's not probably something that you normally do. Like, what's a regular day? Like, when you're a regular work day for you, like, what do you do all day?
It's honestly different, like, every day at Barstool. That's kind of what I like the most about like working at Barstool. The freedom that we're afforded is I kind of wake up and do what I want to do. So if I wake up and I'm feeling super into fighting, I wake up and I just watched that Clarissa Shields fight. I'm like, I want to write about that all day. I'm allowed to do that. If I wake up and I have interviews to do, that's like pretty regular, doing interviews for the podcast, like that I love doing. Blogging about music, like you guys were just talking about in the intro, sort of. If I wake up and I'm super into like, oh, it's the anniversary of Abbey Road, like let me write a whole blog about that. I'm allowed to do that. So kind of depends on the day. It's all different. Sometimes podcasting, sometimes making videos, sometimes going to the office.
Okay.
It just makes it up. So I was looking deep into like your lifestyle. I watched you. The first time I saw you is with Dana White. You were doing a tour through his facility, which I've been inside there. It's absolutely unreal.
Awesome.
And you also saw the most expensive painting in the world. That his story was hilarious, that he was like, oh, this is junk, and didn't realize he had the most expensive painting ever. But I wanted to talk a little bit about how you came from, you were in high school. It said that you were in high school and you were like, they called it the nerd. You were the nerd.
Oh, yeah.
You really wanted to be in Barstool. It's just.
I know, but like, I never liked that. Okay, I don't want to talk about it, but like, sorry, I'm honing in on these girls. I never liked to be like using that term, but I don't know. I was a lover of all. I like blended, but anyway, so we would have met. We would have got together really well, like, or got along really well. I shouldn't.
You're saying there's a chance.
Okay, so that's
a chance.
Tell us more. You flowed. I would have liked you, Robbie. I wouldn't have categorized you. Look at you, Julian.
Well, luckily, like, I grew up in a time where like being a nerd is like kind of like not even that derogatory anymore. Like Avengers is like the biggest thing in the world, so people kind of embrace it now. It's not even like it hasn't even really ever been used against me in that, like, you're a nerd. It's like,
Yeah.
Like,
I just like messing with Julian. He's like, oh,
what is it? What was it? It was Nerds. Revenge of the Nerds. That's what it is. We're in this. We're living the second part of Revenge of the Nerds. That's what
exactly.
But yeah, how did you end up getting into Barstool? Because I was looking at it, but there's no really like story out there that I could find where it said like, hey, this is what you did, and then boom, they picked you up. How is it that you got to Barstool?
It's actually kind of a crazy story. I have a bunch of my older brother is 12 years older than me. My older sister is 9 years older than me. And all my cousins are much older than me as well. So they were always kind of putting me onto stuff that maybe I was a little too young for. And at one family party, a bunch of my cousins showed me Barstool. And they were all in college at the time. So it was kind of like, you know, this had to be 2013, 2012. And they were just like, this is the funniest site. You know, they post funny viral videos all the time. And I started getting into it a little more than they were even. Like, I started getting into it, though, for the personalities, for like the Dave Portnoys, for the big cats, over the viral videos. I thought they were funny. And the whole environment seemed like, oh, these guys get paid to like be friends and talk about sports and go to events and cheer like fans. Like, they don't have to be professional. They don't have to be the button-up people. I was like, that's awesome. So when I'm 13, 14 years old, I start applying. Like, I find their emails and I just start emailing them like incessantly, probably way too annoyingly. I got an email back from Big Cat when I was 14. Wow. And it just said like, and I was trying to be the MMA guy at the time because I was just a huge UFC fan. And at the time, 0 people at Barstool watched or wrote about MMA. So even if like McGregor would fight, there'd just be no blog about it. So I was always like, oh, that's kind of my in. Like, I could fill a little void in this website. But when I was 14, Big Cat emailed me and he's like, dude, we can't hire a 14-year-old. Like, oh, he emailed me. So you're saying there's a chance. Like, yes, okay. And I just kept going. Exactly. So I just kept going. And I started getting a little into graphic design because I started trying to run my own blog and sending them emails being like, look, here's what I could do. So I get a job, like kind of like BS my way into a graphic design job, saying that I'm more qualified than I am, so I could pick my own hours, so I could watch UFC pay-per-views on Saturdays. Like, it was hard to find a job as a 16-year-old where you could get Saturday nights off. Right. So I start doing this, and then I start sending them shirt designs when I start getting into graphic design. Like, anything they would say on the rundown or in a video, I would make a shirt out of it and send it to them.
Wow.
And I would say, like, you know, you could take this design. I just want an in. And eventually they used one. And I got a check from Dave when I was in high school for like a couple $100 for like a random, it was like a Tom Brady shirt design or something when his suspension got lifted. It was something that I didn't even care about. But I was like, oh my God, like, I got this check from Dave Portnoy. It had his signature on it. I like didn't even want to cash it, you know? It's just funny now, like, being that like I've worked here for a couple of years, but
now you're like, can't wait. Like, let me.
Exactly. Yeah. Please keep giving me the paychecks. Yes, I'm going to keep cashing them. But when they moved to New York, so they were always a Boston company when I was growing up, and they were always sort of scattered around the country. Peter Chernin acquires the company in, I think, 2016, and they all moved to New York. And I was like, oh, that's my in. I grew up in New Jersey, right outside the city. So I was like, oh my God, this is perfect. I could maybe be an intern. I know they always hire interns. And I emailed everyone at the company. The company had started growing at this point. So there was like some other people that needed interns. And I got in with someone named Riggs, who's still the golf guy at Barstool. He runs the Barstool Classic. And he just ran the Let Them Play Classic and all that stuff. And he was doing like golf and also politics and world news at the time. 3 things I genuinely know nothing about. But I was just like, listen, this is my foot in the door. Like, I know how to edit a podcast. So if you want to do a podcast, like, I could edit that. And people still, golf fans, get really mad at me when I say this. If there's any golf fans listening to the podcast, like, prepare to be triggered. The first golf course I ever stepped foot on was Augusta National, like where they play the Masters.
Yeah, you're pissing people off.
Which is pretty crazy because, like, you know, that's people wait their whole life to go there. And I was just like, oh, this is what golf is like? And everyone was like, no, this is not what it's like. This is the pinnacle. But once I got hired as his intern, I started kind of just annoying the editor-in-chief and Dave and being like, can I write one MMA blog a day? Like, there's got to be like one big story a day that I could make a funny blog out of, and I could turn into a funny angle. And maybe I could show, hey, like, a mid-card fighter did something ridiculous. Here's a story about it. And then the next time that he fights, hopefully the people that aren't so into the UFC remember that. And they're like, oh yeah, that's the guy who the blog was about. So as soon as I started doing that, like, started just snowballing from there. And then I think I got hired as an intern in October of 2017.
Mhm.
And then by February of 2018, I was full-time, like MMA blogger.
Damn, that's crazy.
Wow, I mean,
it was relentless.
Yeah.
Relentless. Yeah.
Relentless.
Yeah. Maybe to an annoying degree at times, but yeah.
I mean, you set yourself up though. I mean, you went after what you wanted. You achieved exactly what you wanted. Like most people go after what they want and like they stop somewhere.
Yeah.
Did
Absolutely.
you find this point where it was just like, dude, I'm tired of this shit?
Totally. I remember like going to bed so frustrated in high school, which is funny being like, I was 15 when this is happening, but I'm going to bed being like, I'm never going to get hired. I sent them like 6 shirt designs in the past week and I didn't get 1 email response, like those nights. But I mean, the relentlessness was just like I knew consistency was key. So I knew like running my own blog for a while, running my own podcast for a while would be important, and just showing them that I could do it consistently. So I was just like, I don't know. Even when I did go to college for a semester, a community college. And like when I was in college, in my mindset was I'm here until I could get hired by Barstool.
Oh
And
my
then I know I could drop out. And it was like, it took me a semester, but I did do that.
You know, I can relate to that in my own story. I was a little bit older in life, but same thing. People did not. And I think your story is incredible. And I love your tenacity. And and you're talented too, though, that there's a difference. There's a lot of people out there that are not talented and they don't pursue, I guess, or continue to like build on their talent. But I always say hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard, right? So your relentlessness definitely paid off. And I can kind of relate because when I started, people were like, who is this chick? She's from Michigan. Like, yeah, we're going to hire a MILF that does girl. And, whatever, like this chick doesn't have a chance. And I did the same thing that you did. I emailed, called, Twittered, like to the point where I probably was a source of aggravation. So they just said, okay, we're just going to give you a shot. They were probably hoping that I flopped. And you know what? We didn't, Robbie. So you know what? We're badasses.
Hell yeah. And I know I was a source of aggravation because the first time I ever met Dave Portnoy in person was like the most awkward scenario you could ask for. I accidentally got on the elevator with him as an intern, like as a new intern, and it was just the two of us.
Was it really an accident, Robbie?
No, it really was. I think I was actually on the elevator first, leaving,
Okay.
and then he walked on, and I was just like, oh, no, I'm way too anxious to do something like that on purpose. And I was like, you know what? Fuck it. This is my opportunity. Can I curse? Yeah, right? I could curse. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Go for it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we're cursing. Fuck it. I said,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I'm going to use this opportunity to introduce myself. I'm like, all right. And I like put my hand out. I was like, hi, Dave. Nice to meet you. Like, I'm a new intern here. I'm working for Riggs. My name's Robbie. And he just looked at me with this face and he's like, Robbie Fox. And I was like, yeah. And he's like, you are so annoying with your emails, man. And I was just like, oh, I'm sorry. I was like, well, I'm here now. And he's like, I guess so.
I'm sorry, but not really, because now you can match my face. This is the face. Okay.
Yeah.
Good for you. That is so cool. Like, I have mad respect for that. And that's what I was telling Julian today. And we were kind of talking and I was like, you know what? We still have a lot of room to grow, and that's great. And even like, on the show together as humans, whatever, I was like, but I don't care. I'm going for the big dogs. I'm bossing up. We're going to do it. So,
hell yeah.
So, hey, we got a Barstool big dog.
Yeah, we're both talking about the future of guests that we have on here. And like, I have my people that I want on and she has hers. And we're like, we're going to go after them all. We're headbutting back and forth. I'm like, yeah, I want these people on here. It's like, yeah, but we need to go hire them. I'm like, man, we need them all. Forget it. We just gotta be Pokemon, we got to catch them all. You know what I'm saying?
Hell yeah.
So, sorry, Julie, I keep cutting you off, but I'm like, gosh, well, I want to learn more about him. And I'm like, I'm going to let you take the lead. And then here I butt in. I guess okay. So kind of told a little bit about your story, I guess, but was there like, Julian talked about like a moment where you were feeling like, oh my gosh, like the utmost despair. But was there a moment where you kind of felt like, okay, like I have a chance, not the answered email, but like, how did you really know that you kind of had made it with them? At what point was like, okay, like I'm good. I'm in the crowd, that type of thing. Like, what would you say? Was there like a
before I got hired or after you're saying?
Like after. So you're in, but like, okay, you're not an intern anymore, you're working for a while? Like, was there something, and then you just knew, like?
There was a weekend, so my first like sort of weekend on the job as a solo content personality, not as like the producer of the golf podcast that was going on trips to edit podcasts, was WrestleMania. I'm a big wrestling fan, and I had, before I even got hired by Barstool, purchased my ticket to WrestleMania, my plane ticket and everything. So I kind of just said, I think I went into Dave's office and I was like, listen, I already have my ticket, everything. I know that I've never really made videos for us before, but I think I would make good videos down at WrestleMania. If you just pay for a cameraman, I think it would be worth it. And he was like, all right, like, let's give it a shot. And credit to him, because like he truly does give everyone a shot like that. Like, let's see what you got. And I made 2 videos down there that weekend, and both of them got like the whole company tweeting about them, to the point where I was like, okay, like, there's something here. One was I put together like a spot at a wrestling show with, I actually trained to be a wrestler for a summer in high school. This was like a dream of mine. It was like a pipe dream, Robbie. Which is funny because like when you talk about pipe dream, I have pipe cleaner arms. Like, talk about me wanting to be a wrestler. But I put together this spot where I said, we'll do, it was with the guy that trained me. He had a match WrestleMania weekend in front of this big, like 1,300 seat crowd. Right. And I said, I'll be the fan in the crowd, and you'll call me up and be like, hey, hold this wrestler. And then I'll hold him. And then you go to throw a kick. He'll move out of the way. You hit me. And then it'll, nobody will be in on it except us. And it'll be this huge spot. And it'll look like you accidentally kicked me in the face. And we did it. We didn't rehearse it once. We did it live. And it turned out so well. Like, he honestly barely grazed me. And it looks like he kicked my head off in the video. It was like awesome. So there was that. And then I immediately went and made a video outside WrestleMania Access, which is basically their version of Comic-Con. It's like all the signings, the lines. Only the most hardcore fans go to this.
Yes.
And I put on a bunch of like UFC tap out gear. And as a huge wrestling fan, went up to everyone, hey, this is fake, right? And kind of just played the hardo idiot, like, asshole. And just because I've dealt with those people my entire life as a fan of MMA and wrestling. Yeah. And both of those videos like turned out really well. So I think that was the weekend where I was like, Dave said after that, he was like, hey, if you ever want to like go on trips, like, let me know. And I was like, okay, that's like a really good sign. Yeah, absolutely. You were kind of calling your own shots, like what you wanted to do. Yeah. That is awesome. Good. I love that. I love wrestling too. All right, Julian, I'm gonna let you chat or ask questions because I'm taking over.
Take on over. I was just saying, that's like, I thought it was dope that you took a gamble on yourself and a gamble on your own ideas. Because there's a lot of ideas that I have. And the first idea I had was to call out Miley Cyrus on a date. And I was like, okay, this is going to work. I know exactly what's going to happen. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And then I'm going to get people pissed off and I'm going to do this. And I had everything planned out and it started coming to fruition. I was like, okay, cool. And then the next time I was on the mic, I had another plan. I have another plan, and boom, boom, boom. And it just keeps doing more and more. Like, it's cool to see, like, this is what I planned. And then it took off way bigger than I ever thought.
Absolutely.
And more. And it's, you're taking a gamble on yourself where you're creating your own path instead of following what other paths that everybody else had. Like, you literally took a grazed kick to the face, but you sold it like you got knocked the hell out,
Yeah.
That's
the video's out there too. It's worth a watch because it really does look like I got my face kicked off, and like,
oh my gosh,
it's a funny gif at this point. Yeah,
you're gonna have to email it to me. Like, email me the link to where I can find it for sure.
I'm pretty sure I've seen the video, but I just didn't know it was you. You know what I mean? Because I've seen that GIF. I know exactly which one you're talking about.
I need to, like, I want to see it right now. Like, I'm a little impulsive. I want to see it so bad. Okay, not that I want to see it, but it was a graze. You weren't hurt, which is awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, talking about wrestling, you had interviewed Bret the Hitman Hart. Adore him.
Yeah.
How was that?
He was like,
how cool was that? I don't even know if I could do that. Like, because I'm I'm calling myself a nerd. I am kind of nerdy myself. I'm not, sex, and I don't do drugs, and I'm more rap than rock and roll. I'll throw in some country, whatever. So, I'm kind of nerdy when it comes to certain things. I do fan out over Ric Flair. He's the shit.
I've interviewed him before that. That was one of those, like, stand back, like, and you know what? All of these, I think I'm better off for them being on Zoom, interviewing Ric Flair, interviewing Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, because I think if I were in person, I would just like melt in their presence.
Right.
But doing it over Zoom, there's at least a layer of separation where I'm like, all right, they can't see me freaking out, and then I could just put on the mask, and I'm like, all right, here we are. But I mean, they could tell. Come on, I can't not nerd out in front of these guys when I grew up playing with action figures of them. Like that's like a certain realm of like you're in the realm of Batman and Superman at that point.
Oh, badass! Just to run a Rey Mysterio mask and you're all, like you'll be good.
I was Rey Mysterio for Halloween. He was one of my favorites.
I have a mask of him too. I was in the bedroom. Totally kidding. No, totally kidding.
Oh my gosh.
I'd like Superfly Jimmy Snuka off the bedpost. Woo! And a Ric Flair.
What's wild as hell is like I envisioned that just now as I'm listening to this conversation. I'm like, oh fuck, what am I doing? Like, why am I looking at that? But I get that whole situation because we went out for Kendra's birthday one year back, and she had a whole bunch of, WWE stars, and Dolph Ziggler was there. It was the first time I ever met him, and super dope personality, funny guy. But like you're sitting there kind of like, I don't get starstruck that much, but I'm like, damn, dude, like this dude's awesome. This dude's like super dope. And
Goldberg. Huge.
Goldberg.
Huge.
Yeah. You guys let Eric Anders and Goldberg act like they're going to fight, or who was it that was fighting?
It wasn't acting. It's real. It happened.
Yeah, it's true. It happened at Andiamo Steakhouse, and they almost threw down.
It went down over a steak.
Oh wow!
But yeah, those are all little fun stuff. But yeah, we were talking about your podcast as well. You're at 132 episodes that you've created. This is all you.
Yeah, editing, hosting, all that stuff is me. Even I think more than that because I think we do like the weekly, and then most weeks we do even like bonus episodes. So I think we're like over 200 at this point.
Really? How long have you guys been having this podcast?
So I've been doing the podcast since March 2019.
Okay. You're banging them out. Like, that's badass. Like, you're not playing.
Yeah, I did a lot when everything shut down. I went to like almost like 4 a week because I just, nobody was doing anything. So I just started doing even short ones, 20-minute podcasts for people's commutes and stuff like that.
And you make them generally towards everything. Like it's a wide variety. I saw you had Loki on there. I saw you interviewing like fighters. I saw you interviewing just anybody. You also talk about music on there. It's like, do you have a goal, a target? Like, or are you just fanning out every time you're on there?
That's sort of the goal, is just everything that I love. I like to talk about the stuff that I like. I like it to be like a very positive show. I don't like the super anti, like, oh, let's pick apart the stuff we don't like about this. Let's focus on the negative. I focus entirely on the positive on my show. And I think people dig that. Mainly, I love doing interviews, and I love breaking down like movies and shows, albums even. I've done like breakdowns of albums, like song by song, the samples they used and stuff like that. So the goal is sort of like, I always look at it like, I listen to Joe Rogan, but I don't listen to nearly every episode of Joe Rogan. I kind of just pick the guests that seem interesting to me or the topics that seem interesting to me. And I want like my listeners to do the same thing. Like I don't expect anyone to have all of the same weird niche interests that I do. Right. But I do think that I could serve as like a good hub for a bunch of weird niche interests and, be welcome to all of that stuff.
So have you broken down which is better, Home Alone 1 or Home Alone 2?
Ooh.
That's a good question. I'm a Home Alone 1 guy. I actually have 3. I've broken down my 3 perfect Christmas movies before, and Home Alone 1 is one of the 3. Elf is 2.
Elf?
And Die Hard is 3. I know that's the big debate. Is Die Hard a Christmas? I watch it every Christmas. So it has to be.
Damn.
It's not a Christmas movie. It has a Christmas tree in it, but it's not a Christmas tree.
It has Christmas music in it. It ends with some Christmas jingles. I think it is.
Yeah, Bruce Willis comes out.
Hey, I even think Batman Returns is a Christmas movie. The old Michael Keaton, Danny DeVito.
So I actually have a Mondo poster at my house that's signed and autographed, and it's posted up in there. It's worth a lot of money, and it's one of my favorite ones. but it's Batman Returns right there. I think it's one of my top favorites. I can't say it's my favorite. It's hard to pick them. It's hard to pick them. I think Jack Nicholson was the best Joker in my point of view. I love that. But
I agree.
We could talk about that a little bit later. We're going there. But you got Home Alone 1. I can rock with it.
I would go Home Alone 1. Yeah. I mean, I like Home Alone 2. Don't get me wrong. I'm a New York guy myself. And I also, like, as a New York guy, you love seeing the places that you could actually walk down the street and see in a movie. You're like, oh, that's awesome. That's right down the block or whatever. But the Dove Lady, I would prefer the Shovel Neighbor, where you're like, you think he's scary, but he turns out to be a savior in the end.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's the same plot. Doesn't matter where it's at. Same plot in Chicago as it is in New York. You just have a new, helper. One's a shovel, one's a bird lady. But that stuff is hilarious. The Sticky Bandits.
Yeah. Yes, but I did like in 2. Last thing about it, the hotel concierge, or whatever he was just. I just love his mannerisms. I just loved him. It was great. It was anyway. Home Alone 1, though, I think we all agree. I'm with it.
A lot of people
change a filthy animal, like such an iconic quote right there. Like doesn't get more iconic.
It does not at all, ever. And you use that for everything in every type of scenario. You could use it in a pre-fight, interview. You can use it after you win your fight. You do whatever, and it fits in every scenario that you have. Trust me, I've thought about using it. So you also talk about different ones. So those are kind of questions I want to ask you right off the top of your head and see if you have them in there. I wanted to know your top 3 musicians that you like to listen to before you get a workout in. Like, who gets you?
You think I work out? Whoa.
Yeah, I work out.
Your workout doesn't have to be lifting and everything, but like your workout, like before you go into the mood of editing your podcast, that's a workout for you. That's your own.
All right. I definitely have a top 3 that I would stick with. And my favorite, I'm a big pop punk fan. So like even at Barstool, we have like a band at Barstool with like 3 of the other guys that play instruments called Pup Punk, where we like basically parody that music, that Blink-182 style, like Stuck at My Locker, Teenage Angst. Like we think it's hysterical. So All Time Low is my favorite pop punk band. They are my favorite band. I've seen them live like 13 times. One of the coolest things that like becoming a Barstool employee has afforded me is like the opportunity to meet them and become friends with them at this point. Coolest thing in the world to me. 2, such a cliche answer, but
Who?
The Beatles. Number Beatles? 2 is the Beatles for me. Like I got the Beatles on constantly. I've got like, I don't know if you could even see like the Beatles and Muhammad Ali above my TV there.
That's pretty cool.
So that's like, so no question about it. And then 3 would be Oasis. I'm a huge like Oasis fan. Liam and Noel Gallagher, my guys.
Yeah, so
the first one.
The music.
Sorry, the ultimate. What was the first band? I want to just get a feel.
All Time Low. You might know they had like one super popular song called "Dear Maria, Count Me In."
Yeah. That's a new team. It's been going there. They're an alternative indie style band. But yeah, I saw that. I actually was at a bar the other day, and it's a karaoke bar in Kansas City. And all of a sudden, they pulled that song out.
Okay. Sorry.
It's just like fun, like party summer music. Like you listen to All Time Low, you're gonna be in a good mood.
I'm adding.
So you're more into like the live rock band style music. Do you ever dive into like hardcore punk, like go into like Weekend Nachos, heavier music, things like that?
Not super into like hardcore punk. I'm more into the like the poppy punk stuff, but like I really like dive into everything. I've played music since I was in middle school, and I love music. Just like you put music on, and I won't say skip the song ever.
What music? What did you play?
I played bass. Yeah. So I played bass. I play like I'm trying to play guitar now, but I was in a band in middle school called Fixed at Zero because we were like stuck in one spot. That was our, angsty teen name. And we were kind of like, we were trying to be like Paramore. We had a female singer, and like all of us would be in almost the My Chemical Romance, like black button down with the white skinny tie. And we actually we played the Stone Pony a couple times in New Jersey, which is an iconic venue, like the Bruce Springsteen, basically made it an iconic venue. We played Webster Hall a couple times in New York. So it was like kind of crazy, all before I ever was in high school. So it was weird to get that experience. And then I didn't play music throughout high school. And then coming back to Barstool kind of got me back into playing. And now we get to play at like real venues, which is a joke because it feels like we're playing Guitar Hero. Like we play covers. So we'll play a full show and, we'll play like 3 original songs and then 20 songs that everyone knows the words to. And it honestly is like we belong in like a shitty bar in the corner, but because it's Barstool, we play Irving Plaza and the House of Blues and like crazy stuff like that you could never imagine would become a reality when you're growing up being like, I would love to be a rock star and also be an MMA fan that writes about MMA and talk about whatever. It's like Barstool's crazy. It's like you live like some simulation world.
And how old are you, Robbie?
22. I'll turn 23 next month.
Okay. All right. So what else do you want to do? I mean, it seems like everything you kind of set out to do, you're doing. So what do you see the future? Like if you had a crystal ball, where would you predict your future? Like what would you predict? What do you want?
I don't even really know. Like I sort of take stuff like one day at a time. I've always had I love movies so much that I've always had the dream of like maybe one day I'll write a movie. That would be amazing. But it's I don't have any ideas that are in progress or nothing that I'm working on. I think right now like Barstool. I think Barstool's my future. Just keep building MMA at Barstool, especially. Like I want to launch like a whole MMA branch of Barstool, which we are in the process of launching now, where I'll be able to interview fighters that would basically never get the mainstream exposure. Even fighters that aren't in the UFC yet, fighters that are still coming up through Cage Warriors and stuff like that. I think introducing the casual fan to more MMA and stuff.
That's awesome. You're using a big platform to kind of like catapult these different promotions that, the UFC is the ultimate pinnacle, like fighting mixed martial arts out there. Like Bellator is there, but everyone always says, hey man, do you do UFC? They don't say, do you do Bellator?
Of course.
And there's a lot of these like great promotions that are coming up or they're out there that have these, up and coming fighters. So using your platform to do that is fucking phenomenal, especially with like the new style that Jorge Masvidal is doing with this like bare knuckle MMA. That's
crazy. What do you think about that?
I'm all in it. Look, the thing is that like everyone loves violence. We love violence. I don't care who anyone says they are. Like, oh, I don't like. You're watching MMA, human cockfighting, for entertainment, and I love that. I don't like violence, but I like being in violent situations like that.
Controlled.
It's very weird. Yeah, control.
Yeah.
Control. Like if we're out in public, I don't like that. But if we're in a cage and it's like we're ready to go, let's do this. So totally. He has the concept. He takes away the gloves, so now you're going to get cut more. You're going to be more entertaining. There's more possibility for bloods, lacerations, earlier stoppage, and just all around just street style fighting. Like you can train for it, but you can't really train for it. I just think it's amazing. Just like
because like you try to train for it, you break your hands immediately, right? Like
yeah, don't know for sure. And you can't punch as hard as you want. You have to be more like. You have to think about it. Like if you hit wrong, you're breaking your hand or you're fracturing your hand where you can't use it. And we're going to see a lot of that. But if you watch these bare knuckle fighters, it's very entertaining to see these guys come out there. Like they're MMA fighters that are bare knuckles and they're doing better in bare knuckle than they did in MMA, or their careers catapulting from, the MMA world in bare knuckle because of the fact that they have the proper punch, but they have more of like bone on bone, and you just earn respect like that. It's amazing. I think it's amazing. Now we're going to talk about, you get to the ground, you could choke them out. Like, it's a different training. Let's do this.
Did you ever break a hand in a fight?
Yeah, I did. I found this out, actually. Funny thing is, I was actually getting an MRI the other day, and they're like, I had to go get x-rays and everything. They're like, oh, like, yeah, we're trying to figure out what's wrong with your hand, but have you ever broken it? I was like, no, I broke a knuckle, but I never broke my hand. They're like, no, you broke your hand. I was like, no, I broke my knuckle. Yeah. They're like, no, your hand's broken, but it healed itself, but it's broken. I was like, okay, where is it at? And it's like right down here.
Yeah.
And they said it broke, and I was like, oh, I didn't know that. They're like, yeah, we can tell, but yeah, your knuckle never broke. It was your hand.
I was going to ask if you felt it in the fight. Clearly, you didn't.
No, I didn't. I don't even think it was in a fight. Huh. I think it was in practice,
training or something. Yeah,
it could have been.
But yeah, usually if they're going to break the hand with a punch, it's usually like in these bones here.
Whenever you see those X-rays, that always makes me like cringe. Like that looks like it's incredibly painful. But a lot of fighters say they never even feel it.
You know what's painful is that I was there in Jacksonville, sitting cage side for the Chris Weidman. Oh, dude. And Uriah Hall. I watched that, and in the process, I saw it happen for everybody else. I'll never forget, I stood up before everyone did, and I was just like, oh my gosh, and everyone, like, they finally caught on, and they all grabbed me. For some reason, I don't know why all the fighters put their hands on me. Like, whenever you see
wow. Just like, everyone just immediately has that reaction. Yeah.
So everyone like grabbed me, and I'm like, why are you touching me? But seeing the X-rays of that was something that
God, seeing him walk around is great though already. That's
yes. And
listen, I need him to have that one last walk to the octagon at the very least to Tom Petty's "Won't Back Down." That song will hit harder than it ever hit before after coming back from this.
I heard an interview with Ariel Helwani and DC, or no, I think it was just Ariel, and it was just to hear. It was post, after that had happened, and just him talking about the amount of pain and the recovery. I mean, you feel for him, but like you said, he's up and walking. I saw a recent post, and that's just so awesome. So
that's Strong Island in Chris Weidman right there. He won't take no for an answer. He's like, get off of me. I'm going to the deli. I don't think
anybody will ever be able to walk out to that song because we all know it's his song. Just like Cowboy by Kid Rock is going to be Donald Cerrone. It's like it's almost
like ain't no sunshine DMX. Like everyone will always associate that with Anderson.
Oh, all day, and there you can't ever walk away from that. But now we're on the fighting scene. Let's hear, who are your top fighters? Like, who are your fighters that? One, I want to know who made you fall in love with the sport. Is it, are we talking about Pride era? Are we talking about early UFC? Are we talking about the first Tough? And then we'll just kind of go in there of who your fighters are today.
So everyone knows, I feel like if you know me for any reason in MMA, it's probably due to the McGregor stuff. It's like, the McGregor crazy fan stuff. So McGregor would have to be the top one at this point. But getting into fighting all goes back to wrestling. Brock Lesnar was my introduction to UFC, MMA, all that stuff. I was such a wrestling fan that when he made his UFC debut against Frank Mir, my brother had like a party. My brother was living like a couple houses down from me at that point, invited a couple friends over, invited me over. It was like, Brock Lesnar's like actually going to fight. Like, this is going to be real. It's not going to be, they're not going to tell him to go out there and win. And I was like, okay. And I remember going over there and everyone being so disappointed when he lost because Frank Mir hit him with like, it was like a leg lock or a heel hook in that. And Brock like pummeled him the first round. He was really doing great in the first 90% of the fight and then just got caught. But I thought that was the coolest thing. Like, even as a Brock Lesnar fan, I was like, oh, whoa, he just kind of like beat the shit out of that dude. And that dude grabbed one little thing on his foot and he was, writhing in pain, like screaming. I was like, all right, I'm in on this. So I started watching from there. And Brock would be the one that, like, every time he fought, I would watch Rampage, Forrest Griffin, that whole era. I was like so into, because then I got the video game. And when you get the UFC 09 video game with Forrest Griffin on the cover, like you start learning the roster and everything. Joe Lozon became like one of my main guys. He would go out there and get a bonus every single fight. He would always wind up just a complete crimson mask covering his face, covered in blood. Like that fight with Jim Miller is like one of my favorite UFC fights of all time. And then Chris Weidman was a huge one. When he knocked out Anderson, I was always rooting for the underdog. That was always like just how I was sort of raised. My dad and my brother would always be like watching boxing. They'd be like, you always root for the underdog. So when he knocked out Anderson, I was like, oh my God. And he's from Long Island. I'm from New Jersey. This is like, we're right there. I would say those are the main ones. I think I named all of my like top guys. DC, I was huge on DC's entire career. I was a big DC fan. Like his walkout, talk about iconic, like the Lil Wayne, slapping everything and then running to the cage. Frankie Edgar, Tom's River guy.
Look, you're all. I see you all have East Coast guys, except for as far East Coast would be
a lot of East Coast guys, yeah.
But you're all the East Coast guys. You don't have any like DC's a West Coast. I mean, he's a Midwest. He's a Louisiana boy.
I like the California kid, Uriah.
Uriah Hall?
No, Uriah Faber.
Faber.
Oh, Faber.
California
Faber.
kid.
Okay, I thought you said Uriah Hall.
No,
he's from New York too.
No.
I see you keep it on the East Coast
I like
side.
the California guys. Funk Master, Aljamain, Matt Serra.
You got it all
Cody Garbrandt. What about him? What about Cody? What do you
Cody
think?
No Love?
Yes.
I was never the biggest fan of Cody because at the time I was a TJ fan, but then in hindsight, you look at everything and you're like, oh, TJ doesn't look so good in hindsight. So it's like, I don't know. I was at UFC 217. So when TJ won the title back, that was like a huge moment. I was also a big GSP guy back in the day. That was like, I loved the martial artist of GSP, him walking out with the headband and the gi. That's the coolest look in the world.
You think that era is gone and we're on to a new era of martial artists? Because I feel like the martial artist, the art of it is kind of slowly like dwindling away. The respect factor.
Yes, I think
it's tough. Like, who would you name nowadays where you could, like the ones that you could name nowadays are the old timers that are still around, like Damian Maia. He's fighting this weekend. Like he's one of those guys, but he's of that era, I would say. And he's still around. But like of like the current champions, who is like the most respectable martial artist who takes the martial art, the craft of that higher than anything else.
Yeah.
Rose?
Rose is amazing. She is. She doesn't talk anything, but she has a lot of, I don't know, man. She says some stuff that gets, thrown in the wind a little bit different. She's very respectful. She's very calm. I could see being a martial artist, but I just feel more of the trash talk and more of the entertainment side of it is happening now.
Stipe was a good one when he was champ, right?
Yep. I was thinking.
He was. Francis, Francis is actually very good. Like I don't see anything going out. And also he's very scary.
Yeah, I can't
terrifying.
think of this. It's gonna bug me. I can see his face, but I'm drawing a blank on his name. He's from. Oh God, he has that crazy hair. Remember, I said he's gonna be knockout of the year, the back elbow spinning.
Oh, Jerry.
Who is it?
How do you say his name?
But.
Oh, you got Yuri Peroshki?
Yes. Yeah. I feel like he has a very.
I just looked up his name. I can't even attempt that, even looking at it. Jesus.
Yes, he has a very.
Apologies.
It's okay. I should remember his name because I can see his face. I'm like, but his name gave me trouble. I remember, but his focus and his thought process and how he practices martial arts kind of makes me think that he's a little bit more traditional, I guess, in the MMA. I don't know. Opposed to
that fight was awesome against Dom Reyes. It was like one of my favorite fights of the year.
And I love Dom.
He's awesome. He's done stuff with Barstool in the past too. Like we've played like Warzone with him in tournaments and stuff. So seeing him like go down like that was scary. The way his head hit the canvas, but thank God he's all right.
Yes,
absolutely. And that the thing is too, man, is with these fighters that are new and coming, like Yuri, like. Dude, he's just a crazy, like listening to him talk, the guy's wild. So his style resembles him as a person. I legitimately think, but I don't think he means any harm. You know what I mean? Like when you listen to him talk, he's a little crazy, but he means no harm. But when he's in there comes the animal inside. And there's very few fighters that you can see that they create this animal that in the cage, you're like, oh shit, like this isn't the same person as like I talked to the other day. Like, I really hope I never meet this guy, And Yuri's the one that comes in my head, like listening to him talk. He's very cool, calm, and like a little wild. But dude, what an amazing fight and what a crazy ass fighter to be.
He said afterwards that he got knocked out in that fight. He said in like one of the interviews, he was like, "Oh yeah, I think with an up kick, He's like, he knocked me out for a second. I was out, and then I just snapped back into it.
Jeez.
Imagine being Dominic Reyes and hearing that.
Oh, it hurts. I had a
That's
friend.
gotta hurt, right?
I had a friend back in the amateur days. He fought Masad Bektik when we were amateurs. So he was undefeated. Masad was undefeated. Masad was 10-0. He fought a kid named Mac Bailey. And Mac, if they might have those on Titan, Mac literally beat the shit out of Masad. Beat the shit out of him. And for the 3-minute rounds, 3-minute rounds, literally first round dominated, second round dominated, third round dominated, and towards the end just tired out, and Masad got into a crucifix, ended up just like baby punches, ended up getting the finish. My buddy had 5 days of training. Kid was unreal. So anyways, Masad comes to the back with us, and Masad goes, man, he goes, I don't know what happened. He's like, you knocked me out. And he's like, you woke me up, and then you knocked me out again, and then you woke me up again. He's like, all I remember is you were hitting me, and I was on the cage. And then the next time I was like right in front of you, and then I woke up, or went back to sleep, and I woke up, and then the bell was there, and I'm like looking at you, you're looking at me. He's like, I don't remember what happened. And Mac was like, dude, he's like, don't ever tell me that again. Like, I won the fight twice, and I didn't even know it.
Damn.
Yeah, man,
that's crazy. But okay, change of subject. Did you see Vettori and Adesanya go at it?
Yeah.
Okay, second time.
What happened?
Adesanya is going to win. I know this already because he's already in Vettori's head. Like, he has got him so mentally mind fucked that he's going to come into that fight swinging for the fences out of emotion. Vettori is just going nuts. Okay, that just popped into my head.
Who do you got in that fight?
I think Adesanya. I think it's very similar to, and I was talking about this with Big Ev at Barstool, and it's very similar to Adesanya coming off the fight with Yoel Romero and him feeling like he had something to prove. He won that fight, but he still felt like he had something to prove going into the Costa fight. And him coming off the loss, his first UFC loss, I feel like he also feels like he has to show everyone Vettori didn't belong in there with him back in the day when he says, you got the split decision over me that I should have won. And I think, like Kendra said, he's going to come out swinging, and he's going to want that finish this time.
This is the thing, man. I have Adesanya in that fight all day, and this is why. One, Marvin is saying, hey, man, you got beat by, Jacques Ray. What am I trying to sit there and think? Jan. You got beat by Jan. And he's like, oh, Jan, first and foremost, Jan is a champion, and Jan is a 230-pound champion that cuts to 205. So Jan is a different beast. And in all honesty, if you listen to Jan talk, Jan was shocked of his striking, and he was shocked of his speed. But Jan was just the bigger fighter, and he showed him he was the bigger fighter.
And Adesanya went into that super tiny, right? He didn't even come close to the 205 limit.
He was at 200. He was at 200. Yeah. And it's like, okay, so he didn't change anything. He was still fast. He was still, still landing shots. I mean, there's a couple times he had Jan wobbled, and that's a big old guy. So we know he has the power. Now we go to Marvin, and Marvin's done an impressive job. But if he could not have taken down Kevin Holland, honestly, I didn't think he was going to do very well with Kevin Holland.
Yeah.
And he took Kevin Holland down. He was controlling the deal. Couldn't finish him, but he was able to control him. And the same thing happened when he fought Carl Robertson. When he was standing up, Carl was lighting him up on the feet, and then he took him down. This is the thing I believe with Adesanya. I think he's very intelligent now, more intelligent than he was back then, about the mixed martial arts game and the grappling and how to stop it. And a lot of people have tried grappling him, and it just doesn't work out. Now, Jan had the power to be able to lift him and put him on the ground, but I don't think any of the other middleweights that are in the top 10 have that same exact power that can beat the striking of Adesanya to be able to get him to the ground. And the same thing is it's just there's levels to the striking, and there's levels to his just cage awareness. I don't think he's going to have the stamina to sustain a wrestling for 25 minutes. And I do believe that Adesanya is going to get him tired and end up taking him out in a 25-minute fight.
I think I saw Adesanya post today the last like 5 or 6 fights that he had, and then the last 5 or 6 that Vettori had. And it really like reeked of that DC quote, like there's levels to this. And no disrespect to any of Vittori's former opponents, but like Adesanya is a big step up from Kevin Holland. Like going from fighting Kevin Holland to fighting Adesanya is pretty nuts. And when you look at the couple fights, the last couple people that Adesanya's beat, and then Vettori, I know MMA math doesn't always line up, but it is hard to deny when you look at it. You're like, man, it just looks like this guy's on another level.
He is. And he's owning it mentally.
And you can tell, like, I think Adesanya, I think Vettori is actually in Adesanya's head, to be honest.
I mean, he's got him screaming at him on the Zoom calls, right? Like
nuts. He can't even contain himself. He's ready to go, fight him at the press conference. So it's
they were talking back and forth. I saw that on that, but I thought there was something more that happened. But like listening to that presser, had Vettori had a little bit more wit to him and a little bit more of a sting with his comeback, his demeanor and what he was talking about, it would have been a little bit easier to get deeper into Adesanya's head, in my point of view. But like you can even listen to like whenever McGregor and Nate were going back at it back in the day, like you can listen to both of them were stinging and none of them gave down, none of them passed down, and you didn't really win the argument. Whereas Adesanya had a stinging quote to him about, Marvin's clothing and talk about, his style and everything like that. And he didn't have like a stinging comeback. He was like, oh, you got me. I just got to say something type of deal. And it's like, I think had he had been a little bit more powerful in his WWE pre-fight build-up, it would have been a lot. It would have been a lot more intriguing, but it did piss off Adesanya. So I'm intrigued by it.
Yeah, I'm excited.
The whole card's awesome. Like I'm excited for the Jamal Hill fight. I'm excited for the Matt Frevola fight. I'm excited for like up and down the card, prelims, early prelims, main card. Like literally, I feel like everything has a fight for someone.
Absolutely. You know what? It's kind of crazy. We've been waiting for this. You know what I mean? We've been waiting for like a style. Like this is like International Fight Week from the years prior to the pandemic. This is the big card. I mean, we have the Diaz, a Diaz brother on there, and
5 rounds.
5 rounds. Dude, let me hear your intake, and I want to hear you, Kendra. Who do you got, Nate, or you got Leon, and why?
I don't know. I love the Diaz brothers. I never like to go against them. I don't know, because I feel like, their unconventional fighting style, they're relentless. They just, I don't know. They have that dog in them. So, I mean, I don't know. As far as Leon Edwards goes, I don't know. I'm going to go with Diaz. That's it. That's who I think.
He's a ride or die right there.
Yeah. I don't know. I just hate to bet against them for sure. Not betting, but sort of.
Fair enough.
Morally betting against them, yeah.
Yeah.
I think I got to go Leon Edwards, unfortunately. I love Nate Diaz, but just after I was at the MSG fight against Masvidal.
Yeah.
There was something in that fight where it looked like, and again, all due respect to him, it looked like maybe he lost a step there. And Leon Edwards is so technical in the octagon that I feel like when you put someone that's so technical in there with a brawler like Nate or, someone like that, he's just going to dominate him. He's just going to like overpower him with like the smart side of fighting almost.
Yeah. Work smarter, not harder type. Yeah. I get it. Like,
but Nate's not going to get tired is the thing.
Yeah.
So it's
never.
like the 5 rounds. I don't know if Leon's going to get tired. I don't know who the 5 rounds works in advantage to.
Leon's matchup when he fought RDA, it was, just textbook, that grappling that whole time. And I just want to see how Nate responds to that, like relentless pressure and grappling, because he's going to always, if he's on his back, he's going to be attacking. And, Masvidal like had a very unique style to him that presented a lot of problems to Nate. And he kicked Nate right in the fucking mouth, dude.
It was crazy. Like the way that he hit him and then also was able to catch him with the kick on the way down. It was some Matrix stuff.
It was insane, and it was like one of those type of deals. But I think Leon Edwards, when I watched him against Belil last fight, even before he had that eye poke, dude, that was a different animal I've ever seen.
He looked really good, yeah.
Great, thanks.
You know, it is what it is. Like, you're a rider. It doesn't matter.
I know. I'm underdog. Yeah,
we're all going to win with Nate Diaz fighting in front of a crowd, though, because at some point he's going to, the Nate Diaz fight doesn't begin until he's bleeding and like hyping the crowd up as he's bleeding from the face.
Yes, it's like blood fuels them when they see it.
Okay, here we go. Yeah, he's starting a fight. Yeah, I mean, in the fight against Masvidal, we're saying maybe he lost a step, but like in that fight, he started to show stuff as the fight got cut with the laceration.
Nuts. I love that shit. I love the Diaz brothers. Like, at first I was like, and then I'm like, man, like there's just something about them. They got that swag I love it, like that dog mentality. I'm a little raw, hence, it is what it is.
I love people that are unique characters in the game and that can create some sort of just excitement for me. And I've said this before in multiple podcasts. Like, I don't think, fighters are really good at promoting themselves and building themselves up. We need a WWE style, but with legit fighting. Like,
yeah.
And if you're kind of sitting there, oh, why are you going to beat him? Because that dude sucks. You know what I mean? Like, that's a terrible conversation. Like, you listen to the Diaz brothers, they will say some crazy stuff, but they're backing it up. And you're like, okay, I can believe what you say. And when you got all these different characters out here, they interview the same, they talk the same, and they don't have a personality, which I love the personality. That makes me enjoy being around and listening to that. Because, dude, in all honesty, the personality, the fights sell themselves. But, like, the personality just elevated more. Because, I mean, how much more did you enjoy listening and watching and hearing Jorge Masvidal when he hit the 3-piece in the soda on Leon Edwards at the backstage? Like,
yeah, exactly. I mean, that sent him into superstardom.
Yeah, it really did. And it was just amazing. And then his character where he fought, as he started fighting and getting these finishes and his just personality he created with the baptism and all that, you revived a new fighter that's been around for a long time. But then you look at, like, for instance, let's talk about Marvin Vettori. Marvin has the same character every fight. It's super weird. I don't really know how to explain it. Like, when you listen to him, he's like breathing heavy on you, like, oh, I'm gonna do this, like, and just gets really awkward. And it's like, I don't want to see that.
Julian, they're not having sex. I think you're like.
I think they are, though.
But when you were huffing and puffing, I feel like it made you mad, like the way.
Have you not watched Marvin in his, like?
Yeah, no. But he's consistent, right?
I feel like he does. I don't know if he thinks of, like, creating a personality. I think Marvin's like, I'm me.
He is.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think you I don't think you have to if you want to excel in this. And great, he's done a lot of things. He moved up from not being ranked to fighting with it for the title within a year's time, which is incredible. That we're talking the same story that Israel Adesanya did when he first got signed in there. And we're talking about a fighter that's been in the game for a long time that was almost on the border of irrelevant, never been ranked. And then all of a sudden, after the pandemic, the guy's now fighting for a title. He got ranked and fighting for a title all in the same year. So I get that. But, I mean, when you're on the mic, man, you have 15 minutes. You have to make it impactful. You got to make it entertaining. Like, if you don't make it entertaining, then you don't sell. And if you don't sell, then you're not going to be on the pay-per-view headliners. You're not going to be, at the spot you want to be at. Look at Israel Adesanya. He sells. He's interesting, and he's the pay-per-view headline. But if Conor McGregor was fighting, it would be the co-main event.
Yes. Yeah, he's talented. And, I love Conor. I have his whiskey. I mean, I love him. He is entertaining. And I don't think he's the greatest fighter of all time. He's one of the best. However, he sells a fight. Like you said, it's packed. It's nuts. It's an entirely different environment when Conor McGregor is fighting. There's nothing like it. I never felt chills in my body. Like when I went to watch him fight against Cerrone in Vegas a couple years ago. So I get that. But then I also think you don't necessarily have to be an entertainer to like Habib. Okay, pound for pound. Okay, so but he wasn't the most. He's not the most entertaining. You know, he's really not.
I thought he was.
I don't think he's very entertaining, but his record speaks for himself. You know, he's one of the greatest of all time. So I don't know, but I do enjoy more of a combination of like bringing a little of the WWE or a little bit more excitement, entertainment, the banter. That's what draws people in, right? They either love you or they hate you, but they know you, right?
Look, we wouldn't have Robbie Fox as our fan if it had not been for WWE. So I know he respects the pre-fight, post-fight entertainment. And in all honesty, if I'm watching something for 5.5 hours, 6.5 hours, I want to hear some funny ass shit. I want to hear some great, I don't know. I want personalities. I want characters. That's what's really going to hype it up.
I feel like I want a little bit of everything, like on the UFC show. I want some people that are like not characters, some people that are totally over the top, some people that are like down the middle. Like, give us like the variety of it. Like, basically, just if you're a UFC fighter, like, don't try to be Conor McGregor. Don't say red panty night. Just be yourself.
Yes. And I think authenticity at the end of the day is always best. I mean, be who you are, and I get it in entertainment, we have alter egos and those things. But I think if at the root, you're still kind of the same person, you just amp it up, it sells and it works. But, you can't be 0-10. I mean, that shit's not going to work. You still have to be good at what you do, right? So anyway.
Well, who knows? Logan Paul, 0-1, just got to fight Floyd. So maybe you can be.
I agree with it. Yes, right. But hey, he went to 8 rounds.
So. Man, in all honesty, I will build up my entertainment and my YouTube channel and everything if I can fight Floyd Mayweather for $20 million. Dude, knock me the fuck out. I don't care. I'll fight for less. Like, let's go.
Yeah.
If you want to throw me on one of the Barstool ones for $1 million, where I have to take a punch from Big Cat, I'm with it. Have him kick me right in the face. I'm telling you, I'm with it. Let me get the hype on there.
I think Jake Paul tweeted like Barstool Big Cat could knock out Tyron Woodley. That was like one of his things to like talk trash. And Big Cat was like, whoa.
Yeah, but it sells because look, the thing is, I think he's so intelligent. I really like. I've said this many times. His marketing is amazing. He just went to Barstool with Big Cat, which is going to bring a whole entire different group of people that want to watch it. And now Barstool has to talk about it, and they want to sit there and put it in their headlines. And now it's just like he's taking one of the biggest platforms on social media, and he's having them talk about it. And it's like,
it's so his opponents well too. Even like the Woodley matchup, I'm like, I have no idea how this is going to go. Like, and it's a credible step up from Ben Askren. When you look at like, okay, in terms of boxing, like, all right, he is sort of working his way up, and he's still never fought anyone that also considers themselves a boxer.
Yeah.
That's my favorite thing. He'll never fight anyone that's like, yeah, I'm a boxer too.
He'll leave it to Logan, his brother.
It's just like,
but it's smart. He doesn't have to.
It's intelligent. He's probably making upwards of $10 to $20 million with sponsorship and everything a fight, like not saying, their purse, but he's making a good amount of money. They're tough former champions, retirees to fight people that like, come on.
He's got a good coach though. Jake Paul, he has Benjamin Flores. Okay. Former champ, champion boxer. So, he's being guided well, but his PR, he's great. He's a genius at marketing, period. And you can't, it is what it is, right?
It's your platform.
Yeah.
That's it. He's using his platform, and I love it, man. I love he's so smart. Hey, if we need, that's my next call out. You heard it here first. I'm going to knock out my next opponent, and then I'm going to call out Jake Paul on live television.
All right.
Wow.
Let's get the entertainment on there.
Well, gosh, I feel like we're just rolling with this, and we could probably talk. I always say this, we really could keep going on, and we're going to say, okay, we're going to keep it to 60, so we don't keep our guests too long. But I really enjoyed having you on, Robbie. I know Julian has too. You're incredible. Sorry, I feel like I'm the chronic interrupter lately, and I don't know why. I'm like a little kid. We haven't done a podcast in a week, so I'm like, hey. But
it's always like that when there's a delay on Zoom or StreamYard or whatever you use. It's just part of the game.
Yeah, but we both want to thank you so much for taking the time out to come hang with us and tell us your story, which I think is incredible. I love and admire your relentlessness to be where you're at. So congrats to you, and I hope you enjoy the fights tomorrow night. And
thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate all that. That's super kind. Thank you for having me on the show. I really appreciate you guys just having me on.
You help out fighters. You help out bring up MMA.
Yeah.
And I highly respect that, and I love your story. So we'll love to have you on again and build it up. But tell our fans and following where they can find you and your podcast and everything.
Yeah, so check out My Mom's Basement is the name of my podcast. So if you go on YouTube, My Mom's Basement with Robbie Fox, Barstool Sports, obviously you could follow me at Robbie Barstool on Twitter and stuff. But yeah, that's pretty much it. My Mom's Basement is the show.
Good stuff. Thanks, Robbie. You have an incredible night, and I'm going to have to check out some of that music you sent me. So.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. You guys too. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Thanks, buddy.